why it's okay to make mistakes. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Holly Marshall, who is a leadership coach, and she's here to talk to us about why it's really okay to make mistakes, especially an estate and letting agency. Holly, thanks for joining me. Why is it okay to make mistakes? Talk to me.
Talk to you about mistakes. Blimey, well, I'm well into my 50s, so I've made plenty of mistakes. I think the biggest thing I learned was not to cover them up. Mistakes are fantastic. And it's one of the reasons I have a not so secret love of laundry. And the laundry is my domain in the house. Has been for years. I love it. You wash something, it comes out, it's still got the stains in it. That's okay. You go back and you get it right the second time, and you learn by every single mistake you make. I learned very early on not to tumble dry cashmere jumpers. That was one of
Tend to shrink a bit, don't they?
Just a little. Unfortunately, I don't. So,
Why do you think people are afraid of mistakes? And I'm talking specifically about more letting agents because of the personality type they are. I'm sure you're into personality types, but most letting agents are on the disc profile, reserved and what's it called, process driven. So they're a C type, as you would know them.
yes.
Some people watching this might not know that, but I just about described that they fear criticism.
Oh, absolutely terrified of criticism. Absolutely terrified. We all go out to what we think is going to be a 2-bed and it turns out to be a 3-bed. And then what do? We throw everybody else under the bus. We throw blame every which way. And all it is a genuine mistake that's been made. You come out with far more respect if you admit you've made a mistake. Successful estate agents, successful businesses will stack more mistakes than unsuccessful ones. And that's because the unsuccessful ones hide them. From a customer perspective, when I deal with residential lettings agents, if they get something wrong, just tell me you've got it wrong. Learn from it. Don't get it wrong next time. And admit what you've done. I've got far more respect and far more loyalty to that provider if they're honest when they make a mistake. I hate nothing more than it being swept under the carpet, because we all make mistakes. It's normal.
Coming back to this, why people tend to hide under the carpet and throw people under the bus. Is it because they don't want to take responsibility?
It's a massive fear of failure. So to admit you've got something wrong is to tell, for me to tell you I get something wrong, that's me admitting I'm not perfect.
I mean, more letting agents, and I know you've trained lots of estate and letting agents. Have you noticed how letting agents are a little bit more sensitive to this?
Oh, very, very much so. Especially the frontline letting agents that are out there and are speaking directly to customers.
And they're going to turn around and say, well, if we get it wrong, we could go to prison, if we get the gas safety certificate done wrong. But most things aren't life and death, are they?
The vast majority of mistakes you make are not a cure for cancer. That's the line I have in mind. Is it a cure for cancer? No, it's not. Then do you know what? You made a genuine mistake. Get over it, learn from it, move on. Yes, there are bigger mistakes, like with gas safety, where you can't treat them that way. But the vast majority of mistakes are just genuine mistakes.
What advice would you give to someone watching this on how to, A, take responsibility and B, then put it into action so they're happier?
First of all, you've got to accept it yourself. I've worked with a lot of letting agents where they start to believe their own press. So they come back, they've lost a valuation. And you say, why did you lose that valuation?
They'll blame everyone else.
Oh, they'll blame the dog. They'll blame the fact their car didn't start. At no point will they say, I didn't get that bit right, or I was late because I didn't get out of bed early enough. I hadn't prepared enough. Very rarely will they say what they could have done differently. So the first thing to be able to accept a mistake is to admit it to yourself. I didn't do the best I could have done there. And that's okay, because I've learnt from that and I'm going to get it right next time.
Because estate agents, especially the valuers, they blame everyone else. They didn't get me. They didn't understand me. They didn't like me. They didn't get the fact that I was realistic with the asking price. Yes. And I turn around and say, no, you didn't prove it well enough that...
Yes. And exactly the same with fees. They wouldn't pay my fee. No, you didn't offer value and worth for your fee. So therefore, no, they're not going to pay it. Or they blame the negotiator that booked it. They booked my valuations too close together. That's why I was late. It had nothing to do with the McDonald's I had in between appointments. They said it was a 3-bed. It wasn't. It's a 4-bed. Well, did you do your pre-qualification? Did you ring to make sure you knew what you were going to? So the first thing you've got to do is own your mistakes. You can't fix them until you own them.
Once you've owned them, then you have to learn from them, don't you?
Yes, yes.
What advice would you give to someone listening to that about taking, from that?
Once you start to own your mistakes, I don't know if there's any overthinkers out there. I'm a huge, huge overthinker. Once you start to own your mistakes, one of the first things you'll do is start to beat yourself up. And that's not helpful. If you look at any form of therapy, say look at timeline therapy, they tell you to pick your learns. So pick your learns. I need to ring who I'm going to see before I go, just to clarify some basics so I don't make that mistake again. That's a learn. Once you've picked your learn, you let the past go. You don't beat yourself up. You don't go home kicking yourself that you didn't get it right this time. You go home excited that you found the gap and you know what to do, and tomorrow you can put that learn in place and make it better.
But it's really hard because by you taking ownership of it, you could feel real bad about yourself. But
Yes.
in reality, that's not what you're saying, is it?
No, you need to be
celebrate
excited. You should almost, in fact, there's no almost about it. If I get something wrong and I haven't made that mistake before, or I haven't noticed that mistake before, I'm quite excited because tomorrow I can be better.
Okay, but you're in Happy Valley. Most people watching that, you're not trading so right.
Oh, we still beat ourselves up. The beauty of being a trainer is I get to revisit it on days like today, and I can promise you when I drive home tonight, I'll be reflecting and I'll think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And I'll go, well, remember what you said. What can you learn from it? Leave it behind. I think one of the reasons I'm a trainer is I'm really good at making mistakes. I've got self-awareness off to a fine art. Self-management, that's still work in progress.
Holly, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you for that insight.
You're very welcome. Hopefully it's useful to other people out there. Forgive yourself and
Fingers crossed.
get excited.
Lovely. Thank you.